You don't lose control because you are emotional. You lose control because your emotions are controlling you. Picture this. You're sitting at a table. Someone questions you. Not loudly, just enough. Your chest tightens. Your jaw locks. You feel heat crawl up your neck. You speak too fast. You explain. You defend. When it's over, you replay it in your head and realize you handed them leverage without them lifting a finger. This is not a personality flaw. It is a mechanical failure. Most people believe emotions are private, internal, harmless. Machiavelli knew better. Emotions are signals. They leak status. They reveal incentives. They expose where you can be pushed. In any hierarchy, the person who reacts is the person being managed. Your anger tells them where your pride is fragile. Your anxiety tells them where your position is weak. Your excitement tells them where your hunger lives. And hunger is always exploitable. A strategist does not try to feel less. That is amateur advice. A strategist builds a control system. He separates stimulus from response. He slows the moment where others speed up. He uses emotion as data, not as a command. This is why the calm person wins negotiations. This is why silence unnerves aggressive people. This is why those who cannot be provoked end up feared. By the end of this procedure, you will not be emotionless. You will be precise. You will know exactly what your anger is telling you, and you will decide whether to use it or bury it. You will feel fear and still move forward. You will feel insulted and give nothing back. There is a cost. Once you see how emotions function as social machinery, you can never go back to innocence. You will notice when others are leaking. You will see when a room shifts because someone lost composure. You will understand how power moves without words. This is not therapy. This is not self-soothing. This is control. We are going to dissect your emotional reflexes the way a surgeon dissects tissue. Clean, cold, no romance. When we are done, your emotions will still exist. They just won't own you anymore. The first place you lose control is not in rage. It is in reaction speed. Look at the common scene. Someone interrupts you, challenges you, smirks. Your body answers before your mind does. Shoulders tighten, voice changes, words rush out. You think you are defending yourself. In reality, you are obeying a trigger. This is the entry wound. The fastest responder in any interaction is never the one in control. Speed feels powerful, but it is a tell. It announces that something touched you, that something mattered, and whatever matters can be used. The hidden mechanism is simple. Humans are wired to close emotional gaps immediately. Silence feels dangerous. Tension feels like exposure, so you rush to end it. You fill the space with explanation, humor, anger, justification. That impulse is not courage. It is fear of the void. Machiavelli understood this long before neuroscience had names for it. He observed that men reveal themselves not by what they plan, but by what they cannot tolerate. The moment you react automatically, you reveal your intolerances. That is your map. And once someone has your map, they don't need force. They just press where it hurts. Predators do not need to insult you loudly. They need to watch your timing. Did you answer immediately? Did your tone shift? Did your face change? That tells them more than your words ever could. Status is not decided by who speaks best. It is decided by who can wait. The Machiavellian translation is this: emotion is not the enemy. Unfiltered expression is. The prince does not kill emotion. He delays it. He creates distance between the spark and the action. In that distance, power appears. Here is the tactical shift. You stop treating emotion as a signal to act. You treat it as a signal to pause. Pause is not silence for politeness. Pause is a weapon. When you pause, the other person continues. They explain. They overstep. They expose motive. You collect data while they spend energy. This is not passive. This is predatory patience. Imagine a meeting. Someone questions your decision in front of others. The weak response is immediate defense. The average response is controlled explanation. The strong response is stillness. You look at them. You let the silence stretch. You force them to sit in their own challenge. Often they soften it themselves. If they don't, you answer slowly, briefly, without heat. You do not justify. You state, this rewires the room. You are no longer reacting inside their frame. You are setting one. Emotionally undisciplined people believe calm is natural. It isn't. Calm is constructed. It is built by repetition. You train yourself to feel the surge and do nothing with it, not suppress it, not vent it, simply not obey it. There is a mini story most people miss. Watch the person who never raises their voice. Watch how others speak around them. Notice the care, the checking of words. That respect was not requested. It was earned through emotional control. People sense when reactions are expensive. The cost of failure here is severe. If you continue to react quickly, you will be managed. People will poke you for sport. They will test you casually. You will feel exhausted without knowing why. It is because every reaction is a tax. The first discipline is delay. Count before you speak. Let silence do the work. Feel the emotion fully and refuse its command. You are not becoming cold. You are becoming unreadable. And unreadable people are difficult to control. The second place you lose control is not in anger. It is in interpretation. An event happens, a comment, a look, a delay in response, and your mind fills the gap instantly. They disrespected me. They don't value me. I'm being threatened. You treat these stories as facts. Your body reacts to the story, not to reality. That is how people manipulate you without saying a word. This is the mechanism of emotional hijacking. The human brain is a meaning machine. It cannot tolerate ambiguity. When information is incomplete, it invents intent. Most of the time, that invented intent is hostile. Why? Because hostility feels safer than uncertainty. If you assume attack, you can prepare defense. The problem is that you often end up fighting ghosts. Machiavelli warned against this blindness. He knew that appearances lie and that men project their fears onto others and then react as if those projections were truth. The strategist does the opposite. He suspends meaning. He refuses to decide what something means until it pays to decide. Here is the critical shift. You separate event from interpretation. The event is neutral, a sentence, a tone, a silence. The interpretation is optional, a story you attach to the event. Most people collapse these into one. The strategist keeps them apart. Consider a simple scenario. Someone doesn't reply to your message. The herd panics. They feel ignored, disrespected, anxious. They send a follow-up. They explain. They chase. In doing so, they reveal need. Need collapses leverage. The strategist does nothing. He logs the delay as data. He waits. If a pattern forms, he adjusts access. No drama, no narrative. Just action. This is not emotional numbness. It is emotional literacy. Predator logic is simple. Whoever controls the story controls the response. If someone can make you believe a meaning, they can predict your behavior. That is why insults work. That is why passive aggression works. They are not attacks on your logic. They are attacks on your interpretation engine. Machiavellian thinking replaces interpretation with questions, not spoken questions, internal ones. What proof do I have? What else could explain this? What do I gain by reacting now? What do I lose by waiting? When you ask these questions, the emotional surge weakens, not because you are calm by nature, but because the story loses its grip. There is a practical procedure here. When you feel an emotional spike, label only the sensation: tight chest, heat in face, fast breath. Do not label the cause. This creates a gap. In that gap, you refuse to name the enemy. Without an enemy, the emotion has nowhere to go. Watch how this works in real time. A colleague makes a joke at your expense. The average person assumes intent and retaliates or withdraws, the strategist does not assume. He looks at the room. Who laughed? Who didn't? Was it clumsy or calculated? He stores the information. Later, he adjusts trust, access, or positioning. The response is delayed but decisive. The cost of misinterpretation is long-term damage. You burn bridges that didn't need burning. You expose insecurity where there was no threat. You become predictable. People learn exactly which stories set you off. The benefit of suspended interpretation is psychological invisibility. Others cannot tell what you think. They cannot tell what hurts you. They cannot tell if they succeeded. This uncertainty shifts pressure onto them. This is why silence feels powerful. Silence refuses to confirm interpretation. It forces the other person to wonder what you think, not the other way around. The discipline here is severe but simple. Do not rush to meaning. Do not name intent without evidence. Do not act on stories you created under stress. You still feel the emotion. You just don't let it write the script. And when you control the story, you control yourself. The third place you lose control is in expression. Even when you pause, even when you don't misinterpret, you still give too much away. A raised eyebrow, a sigh, a shift in posture, a long explanation that reveals where you stand. You believe control is about what you say. In reality, it is about what you allow to be seen. This is where most people fail. Emotion leaks through channels you never trained. Your face, your voice, your timing. Others read these channels instinctively. They may not name what they see, but they feel it. And what they feel guides how they treat you. Machiavelli understood appearance as a weapon, not because truth doesn't matter, but because perception decides outcomes before truth ever arrives. If your internal state is visible, it becomes a handle, and handles are meant to be grabbed. The hidden mechanism here is relief. People express emotion to relieve internal pressure. They vent, they explain, they justify. The moment you express, you feel lighter. But that relief is purchased with power. You traded strategic position for comfort. Predator logic again is simple. Whoever needs relief is the weaker party. Whoever can hold tension longer sets the terms. The Machiavellian strategist does not aim to look emotionless. He aims to look undecided, unimpressed, unhurried. These are not moods. They are deliberate masks. Consider how this works in conflict. Someone accuses you of something unfair. The instinct is to defend your reputation immediately. You talk faster, you add details, you explain your intent. Each sentence feels like protection. It is not. It is exposure. You are signaling that the accusation matters deeply. Now, they know where to aim next time. The alternative is controlled minimalism. Fewer words, neutral tone, no visible irritation. You deny or acknowledge briefly, then stop. You let the accusation hang in the air. The burden shifts. Now they must justify, escalate, or retreat. None of those options favor them. This is not about being cold, it is about refusing to perform. There is a common misunderstanding here. People think power comes from dominating expression, strong voice, firm gestures, emotional certainty. In reality, power comes from restraint. The person who shows less is harder to manipulate because there is less feedback. Think of a negotiation. One side keeps reacting, nods quickly, pushes back emotionally. The other side listens, asks short questions, reveals nothing. Who feels the pressure? Always the one who is expressive. Silence compresses the other person's nerves. Expression releases them. A mini story. Two colleagues are competing for influence. One is expressive, passionate, transparent. Everyone knows what bothers him. The other is calm, vague, steady. When tension rises, people look to the calm one for stability, not because he is kinder, but because he is unreadable. Humans follow what feels solid. The cost of uncontrolled expression is permanent labeling. Once people see you as reactive, sensitive, explosive, defensive, that label sticks. They will treat you according to it. You will spend years trying to correct an impression created in seconds. The Machiavellian correction is surgical. You limit your expressive bandwidth. You slow your movements. You shorten your sentences. You remove emotional adjectives. You stop explaining motives. You let your face rest. You let silence do the emphasis. You do not rush to clarify. Clarity is not always power. Ambiguity often is. This does not mean you never express emotion. It means you choose where and with whom. Private expression preserves function. Public restraint preserves position. The prince vents in the citadel, not in the square. Over time, something shifts. People stop probing. They stop testing. They are unsure what will happen if they push. That uncertainty protects you better than any outburst ever could. Expression is not freedom. Control of expression is freedom. When you decide what the world is allowed to see, your emotions stop being weapons others can use. The fourth place you lose control is in recovery. An emotional event ends, but it doesn't leave you. You replay it. You refine arguments. You imagine better responses. Hours later, the body is still tense. The mind is still occupied. Power continues to leak long after the interaction is over. This is delayed submission. Most people think emotional control is about the moment itself. That is only half the battle. The real damage happens afterward. Rumination keeps the other person inside your head, and whoever lives rent-free in your mind still controls you. The mechanism is unfinished business. The brain hates open loops. When something feels unresolved, it keeps returning to it, searching for closure. This is why insults echo. This is why unfairness lingers. The mind believes thinking will solve it. It won't. Machiavelli understood the importance of ending conflicts cleanly. Not emotionally clean, but strategically closed. The prince does not relive the battle. He records the outcome and moves on. Emotionally revisiting the past serves no future objective. Here is the shift. You treat emotional residue as a signal to finalize, not to analyze. After any charged interaction, you ask one question only. Did I lose position, gain position, or stay neutral? That is the entire review. No replay, no speeches in your head. No imagined comebacks. Those fantasies are ego trying to reclaim dignity after the fact. Predator logic again. Animals do not relive fights. Once it's over, it's over. Humans torture themselves because they confuse reflection with control. Reflection without action is self-harm. There is a practical tactic here. You perform a hard stop. You choose a physical reset immediately after the event. Movement, cold water, walking, something that shifts the body state. This is not relaxation. This is severance. You are cutting the emotional cord. Then you log one sentence. What did I learn about them? Not about you, about them. Behavior under pressure reveals incentives. Incentives predict future moves. That is useful. Everything else is noise. Consider a scenario. Someone disrespects you in a subtle way. You stay calm. You respond minimally. Later, your mind wants revenge or validation. You deny it. Instead, you adjust. You reduce access. You change tone. You document the pattern if necessary. The emotion is converted into structure. This is Machiavellian alchemy. Emotion is fuel. You don't vent fuel. You burn it. The cost of failing here is cumulative weakness. Each replay drains energy. Each fantasy keeps you emotionally subordinate. Over time, this creates chronic irritability, anxiety, and resentment. You think people are exhausting. In truth, you are dragging old battles into new days. The benefit of fast recovery is clarity. When you close loops quickly, your mind stays empty. Empty minds are dangerous. There is nothing to grab, nothing to provoke, nothing to spiral. Watch powerful people closely. They are not calmer by nature. They are faster at letting go, not forgiving, letting go. Forgiveness is emotional. Letting go is strategic. There is also a reputational effect. When people see that nothing sticks to you, they stop trying. Provocation loses value. Drama dies without a host. You become expensive to disturb. This requires discipline. Your ego will protest. It wants justice. It wants recognition. It wants the perfect line delivered too late. You starve it. Ego feeds on memory. You deny it access. Recovery is not softness. It is dominance over your own nervous system. You decide when something is finished. You decide how long it lives. You decide what it becomes. When you master recovery, emotional events stop defining your days. They become brief data points in a longer campaign. And the one who controls the aftermath controls the war. The fifth place you lose control is in attachment. Not attachment to people. Attachment to outcomes. You enter situations already invested. You want respect. You want agreement. You want to be seen as competent, fair, intelligent. The moment you want something emotionally, your control weakens. Desire sharpens fear. Fear distorts behavior. This is the most dangerous leak of all. Machiavelli understood that power belongs to the one who can walk away, not theatrically, internally. The person who needs the outcome more than the other side is already negotiating from below. The mechanism is simple. Attachment creates stakes. Stakes create anxiety. Anxiety creates microsignals. Microsignals are read instantly. Others feel your need before they can explain it. And once they feel it, they adjust. Predator logic again. A hungry animal behaves differently. It moves faster. It takes risks. It reveals intent. Humans are no different. When you want something badly, you become legible. Look at common scenarios. A job interview, a date, a confrontation with authority. The attached person overprepares, overexplains, overperforms. The detached person listens, responds briefly, and lets the other side lean forward. One chases, one attracts. Detachment does not mean indifference. It means optionality. The Machiavellian strategist always builds an internal exit. He does not threaten it. He simply knows it exists. That knowledge alone changes posture. When you know you can leave, your tone slows. Your eyes steady. Your words shorten. The body relaxes because survival is no longer on the line. Here is the tactical shift. Before any important interaction, you remove the outcome from your identity. You say, silently, "If this fails, I am unchanged." This is not affirmation. It is recalibration. You are separating self-worth from result. This breaks a powerful trap. Most emotional reactions come from identity threat. You feel insulted because you believe the insult defines you. You feel anxious because you believe the outcome defines you. Remove that belief, and the emotion loses its teeth. There is a small but brutal test. Notice how people treat those who don't need them. They seek approval from them. They explain themselves to them. They offer concessions. Need inverts hierarchy. Optionality restores it. A mini story. Two partners in a disagreement. One fears abandonment. The other doesn't. Guess who controls the dynamic? The one who can tolerate loss speaks calmly. The one who cannot escalates or pleads. Attachment always reveals rank. This applies beyond relationships. In business, the person who needs the deal folds. In conflict, the person who needs to be liked apologizes too soon. In debate, the person who needs to win raises their voice. Every time, attachment writes the script. The cost of attachment is chronic emotional volatility. High highs, low lows, constant monitoring of reactions. You become reactive not because others are powerful, but because you made them necessary. The Machiavellian correction is cold but freeing. You cultivate internal abundance, more options, more paths, more self-contained stability. When one door closes, nothing collapses. This is not arrogance, it is insurance. There is also a dark side to attachment others exploit. Flattery, hope, promises. They sense what you want and dangle it. Your emotions rise, your caution drops. You move too soon. This is how traps are sprung. Detachment breaks the trap before it forms. You still pursue goals. You still care about results. You just refuse to bleed for them emotionally. When you stop needing outcomes, people feel it. They cannot pressure you with time. They cannot rush you with fear. They cannot bait you with approval. You become heavier, more grounded, less movable, and in the calculus of power, the one who needs least always decides most. The sixth place you lose control is in timing, not what you feel, not what you show, but when you act. Most people respond on emotional time. The surge comes, and they move, immediately or eventually, but always inside the emotions clock. That is still obedience. A delayed reaction, driven by anger, is still anger in charge. The strategist operates on a different clock. Machiavelli wrote endlessly about timing, about knowing when to strike and when to wait. He understood that power is not just action, it is action at the correct moment. Emotional people act when they feel ready. Strategic people act when the environment is ready. This is a brutal distinction. The mechanism here is urgency. Emotion creates the illusion that something must be done now. Answer now, confront now, fix now, explain now. Urgency collapses options. It narrows vision. It forces premature commitment. Predators exploit urgency. Deadlines, ultimatums, emotional pressure. They don't need to overpower you. They just need to make you move before you should. The Machiavellian strategist resists urgency by default. He treats every emotional push as a reason to slow down, not to freeze, to delay. Delay is not avoidance. Delay is positioning. Consider a conflict where someone crosses a line. The emotional response is immediate confrontation. This feels strong. It is often weak. Why? Because the other side is prepared for resistance in the moment. They have adrenaline. They have rehearsed excuses. They are ready to spar. The delayed response is different. You say little. You take note. You let time pass. When you address it later, calmly, privately, or structurally, the other side is unarmed. The power dynamic flips. They are now reacting to you. This applies everywhere. Negotiations, relationships, work. The person who introduces a topic on their own timeline controls the frame. There is a subtle but critical habit here. You stop resolving emotional situations immediately. You let them breathe. You let information surface. People reveal far more when they think the moment has passed. A mini story. Someone insults you publicly. You respond neutrally. Later, others mention it. The room noticed. Your restraint elevated you. Now, when you decide whether to address it or not, you are not the offended party. You are the authority deciding if correction is required. That authority comes from timing. The cost of poor timing is regret. You say things you cannot unsay. You escalate situations that could have died naturally. You lock yourself into positions before seeing the full map. Emotion pushes you onto bad terrain. The Machiavellian correction is to install a rule: no major emotional action in the same state that produced the emotion. This is non-negotiable. You feel anger, fear, excitement, humiliation. You wait. You let the state pass. Then you decide. This creates a reputation effect. People learn that you are slow to move but decisive when you do. They stop baiting you for reactions. They stop assuming they can rush you. Your pace becomes part of your power. There is also a deeper layer. Timing allows you to weaponize emotion selectively. Anger delivered too early looks unstable. Anger delivered late, calmly, looks like judgment. Silence used immediately looks weak. Silence used consistently looks deliberate. The strategist does not waste emotion. He stores it. He lets it inform future moves. He acts when the cost is lowest and the impact highest. Think of emotion as pressure in a system. Release it too soon, and it dissipates. Contain it, and it can move structures. This does not mean you become calculating in a cartoon sense. It means you stop letting your nervous system choose your moments for you. You choose the moment. You choose the arena. You choose the scale of response. When you master timing, emotions stop being storms that throw you around. They become weather patterns you plan around. And the one who controls timing does not need to control anything else. The seventh place you lose control is in consistency. You can pause once. You can stay calm once. You can delay once. But if you do it only when you remember, it becomes a performance, and performances collapse under pressure. Power comes from predictability of restraint. Most people are emotionally disciplined on good days, when rested, when confident, when they feel safe. The moment stress rises, the old reflexes return. That inconsistency is fatal. It teaches others when you are vulnerable. Machiavelli understood that reputation is not built from intentions. It is built from patterns. A single outburst can erase 10 quiet moments. A single emotional leak becomes the story people tell. The mechanism here is fatigue. Emotional control costs energy. When energy drops, discipline drops. The body reverts to habit. If the habit is reaction, reaction will appear exactly when stakes are highest. The strategist solves this by removing choice. He does not decide each time to be calm. He installs procedures, rules that run even when he is tired, angry, or bored. This is the difference between willpower and structure. Consider how this works. You decide in advance how you will handle certain triggers: public criticism, disrespect, silence, provocation. You do not improvise. You execute the same response every time: brief, neutral, controlled. Over time, something important happens. People stop testing, not because you are intimidating, but because you are boring to provoke. The same calm, the same delay, the same minimalism. No variation, no reward. Predator logic again. Predators abandon prey that doesn't respond. Drama requires feedback. If there is no change in you, the incentive disappears. A mini story. Someone in your environment enjoys pushing buttons. Early on, they get reactions. Later, they get nothing. The same flat response, the same lack of escalation. Eventually, they move on. You did not confront them, you trained them. Consistency does something else. It trains you. When your body learns that emotional surges do not result in action, the surges weaken. The nervous system adapts. Calm stops being an effort and becomes default. This is not suppression. This is conditioning. The cost of inconsistency is exposure. People wait for your bad days. They know when to strike. They know when you are tired. They know when you will break. That knowledge gives them confidence. The Machiavellian correction is ruthless standardization. You choose a narrow range of responses and you live inside it. You don't explain under pressure. You don't argue when provoked. You don't escalate emotionally. You don't decide in the heat. This makes you feel less expressive, but more stable. Stability is power. Humans orbit what feels stable. There is also a reputational halo effect. When people cannot predict emotional swings, they adjust upward. They speak more carefully. They prepare better. They assume consequences, even if you never state them. This is how fear is created without threats, not terror, respectful caution. Consistency also protects you from yourself. Your worst decisions are emotional decisions repeated without structure. When you remove the option to act emotionally, you remove future regret. This requires accepting something uncomfortable. You will feel emotion without release. That pressure does not disappear instantly. It accumulates at first. This is where most people quit. They mistake discomfort for damage. It is not damage. It is withdrawal. You are withdrawing from emotional impulsivity. The body resists, then it adapts. The strategist does not seek emotional comfort. He seeks emotional reliability. When your reactions are the same on good days and bad days, your environment stabilizes. Conflicts shorten, manipulators fail, noise fades. You become someone whose internal state cannot be easily altered. And the one who cannot be altered is no longer managed by the world around him. The eighth place you lose control is in self-image. Not how others see you, how you see yourself when emotions arise. Most people secretly identify with their emotions. I am angry. I am anxious. I am offended. The language seems harmless. It isn't. The moment you fuse identity with emotion, you lose the ability to govern it. You are no longer managing a state. You are defending a self. This is the deepest trap. Machiavelli understood that rulers who believed their own emotions were the most dangerous to themselves and to their states. The prince who thinks, "I am furious," acts like fury is truth. The prince who thinks, "I feel fury," treats it as weather. The mechanism here is ego preservation. When emotion becomes identity, any challenge to that emotion feels like a challenge to your existence. You double down, you justify, you escalate. You are no longer trying to win. You are trying to survive psychologically. The strategist separates observer from instrument. You are not the emotion. You are the one observing it. This sounds abstract until you see how practical it is. When you say internally, "I am angry," the next sentence is usually action. When you say, "Anger is present," action is no longer automatic. Distance appears. Distance is control. Consider a scenario. Someone disrespects you. Anger rises. The fused person thinks, "I am angry, therefore something must be done." The strategist thinks, "Anger has arrived, therefore something valuable has been detected." He watches where it points. He does not move yet. Anger often signals boundary violation. Fear signals risk. Excitement signals opportunity. None of these require immediate obedience. They require analysis. Predator logic applies inward here. If your emotions can command you, you are prey to your own nervous system. Others do not even need to attack you. You will sabotage yourself for them. The Machiavellian correction is to demote emotion from ruler to advisor. You do not argue with emotion. You do not suppress it. You acknowledge it and refuse its authority. There is a small but powerful internal practice. You rename emotions as external objects. Not "I am anxious," but anxiety is present. Not "I am offended," but offense is arising. This linguistic shift breaks identification. It reminds the mind that something is happening, not that something is you. This creates a third position, not emotion, not reaction, observation. From there, choice becomes possible. A mini story. Two leaders face criticism. One feels attacked and reacts defensively. The other notices irritation, keeps posture steady, and asks a clarifying question. The second leader is not calmer by nature. He simply does not believe his irritation is sacred. The cost of emotional identity is rigidity. You become predictable. If someone knows you see yourself as the calm one, they can provoke you into proving it. If you see yourself as the tough one, they can bait you into overreaction. Any fixed identity becomes a handle. Machiavelli warned against this vanity. He knew that princes who believed in their own image were easier to trap than those who treated themselves as tools. The strategist has no emotional brand to defend. This is liberating and unsettling. Without identity attachment, you may feel empty at first. That emptiness is not loss. It is space. Space where decisions can be made without ego interference. There is also a long-term effect. When you stop identifying with emotion, shame weakens. You no longer feel bad for feeling fear or anger. You feel curious. Curiosity dissolves compulsion. People who master this become difficult to manipulate. Insults don't land cleanly. Praise doesn't inflate them. Emotional hooks slide off because there is nothing to latch onto. You still feel deeply. You just don't mistake feeling for being. And when your sense of self is no longer hostage to emotion, you gain the rarest form of power, self-command. You entered this looking for emotional control. What you actually built is sovereignty. You are no longer trying to feel better. You are no longer trying to suppress anything. You now understand the machinery. Emotion is not an enemy. It is a signal, and signals are meant to be read, not obeyed. You learned how reaction speed exposes you, how interpretation creates traps, how expression leaks leverage, how rumination extends defeat, how attachment hands power away, how timing decides outcomes, how consistency builds fear without force, how identity fuses you to weakness. This is not about becoming cold. It is about becoming unmovable. The danger now is ego. The moment you think you have mastered this, you become careless. The moment you use emotional control to feel superior, you lose it. The strategist stays quiet, even with himself. Remember the long game. Power is not proven, it is assumed. The less you need to show, the more others infer. Most people will never do this work. They will continue reacting, explaining, venting, chasing relief. They will call that being human. You now know better. You are not detached from life. You are no longer owned by it. If you want to go deeper, understand this. What you've learned here is what can be said publicly. There are layers of influence, defense, and psychological warfare that cannot be explained in the open without being diluted or misunderstood. Those exist elsewhere, for those who are ready to operate without illusion. Until then, move slowly. Speak less. Watch everything. And remember, the one who governs his emotions does not need to govern others.